Hello, my name is Peter Milton and I am the developer of TimeChainage. This video is part of a series where I show you some of the more advanced features of TimeChainage, and today we will look at local and global chainages. This feature, unique to TimeChainage, can reduce the amount of work involved in planning and monitoring progress, as it simplifies the data we are working with. Let me explain. First of all, what do I mean by local and global chainages? In TimeChainage, think of the global chainages as relating to the project as a whole. So you will have a project datum where the chainage value will be 0. This may be a contractually set datum or something the designers have established, either somewhere on the site or maybe even outside the site. Or maybe there is no official site datum and you as the planner have decided where you want it to be. If you are choosing where to set the datum, you may decide to put it on one extreme end of your project. Think of local chainages as specific to a certain section of work, say a tunnel drive or a road, or indeed any task where it would be helpful to have a 0 as the start chainage. In the example project I have open, you can see that the extreme left side of the project has a chainage of 0. In TimeChainage, this is the global chainage datum. Note that the global checkbox in the toolbar is checked. This indicates that the chainages shown on the chart are global. To explain local chainages, we will first need to take a closer look at the example project. It consists of some structures and some tunnel works. For this example, we will concentrate on the shaft and tunnel works. There are 4 shafts and they will be connected by tunnels. The tunnel driving will be done by a single tunnel boring machine or TBM and go from shaft A to B, then B to C. Then for access and logistical reasons, the TBM will be taken out of shaft C, put down into shaft D, and the final drive will be from shaft D back to shaft C. There is then secondary lining and finishing works to be done. Let's just look at drive A to B. You can see that it starts from around about chainage 600 and goes to about 1400. Let's look at a layout of just this tunnel drive. I have one called Tunnel AB Plan. The works start with a bit of a learning curve before reaching the full plan production rate. The work is being undertaken on a 7-day working week, as is common with tunnelling works. We get a better idea of the start and finish chainages with this more detailed layout. The side of the chart shows project weeks, but we are not particularly interested in time for this discussion. In TimeChainage, if the tunnel drive started at 0 chainage, it would likely make life easier for us, especially if there are a lot of activities for this work. This is where local chainages come in. We can define where we want the local chainage datum to be and use local chainages for all of our planning and progress monitoring for this section of the works. This is something I have set up for tunnel drive A to B and can demonstrate by unchecking the global checkbox. This changes the view to local chainages. As you can see, the drive now starts at chainage 0 and finishes at around 875. If we go into the plan form, I will filter just for the AB drive. The first 4 activities are the learning curve, and the last task represents the full production section of the drive. As you can see, we have used 0 chainage as the starting point. When the tunnelling commences, the production team will probably report progress from the start of the drive, so local chainages will make adding progress and updating the program much simpler. Let me show you what I mean. In our project we have already started tunnelling. I will open another layout, this one called Drive A to B with Progress. The blue line is the plan, the red line shows actual progress to date, and the dashed lines are 2 forecasts. One for the planned production rate of 20 metres a day and one for a more optimistic 22 metres a day. As can be seen, to achieve the planned finish date we need to average 22 metres a day from now on. This layout is showing the local chainages starting from 0. If I open the actuals form and filter just for drive A to B, you can see we started at 0 chainage again. You can also see that actual progress has been added daily. Leaving this form and going to another layout, tunnel work. Here we see all of the tunnel works shown with the global chainages. If I check the actual filter box to show actual progress, we can see that both planned and actual tasks have the correct global chainages. So how are local chainages set up in TimeChainage? The position of the local datum is set in the work breakdown structure. So let's open the WBS form to find out how. In the WBS form, there is a field called Global Chainage. This is where you enter the global chainage where you want the local chainage datum. This is where the local chainage will be 0. So for our example of tunnel drive A to B, I have a WBS value for that drive and have set the global chainage to 564 meters. This means that the tunnel drive A to B local chainage of 0 is at global chainage 564. The other related field is directional work. This sets the direction of increasing local chainage relative to global chainage. So a setting of left to right means the local chainage increases in the same direction as global chainage increases, and that's left to right in the default chainage convention. A setting of right to left will mean that as local chainage values increase, the matching global chainage will decrease. An example of this is tunnel drive D to C, where the direction of work results in a decrease in global chainage, even though the local chainage increases. Let's look at this. We will open the layout, tunnel driving. This layout shows just the tunnelling of the 3 drives and nothing else. The global chainage box is ticked, and you can see that the drive D to C goes from chainage 3050 approximately to about 2300. Let's uncheck the global checkbox to show local chainages. We can now see that all 3 drives start at local chainage 0 and the chainage increases as production moves forward. This applies to drive D to C as well, even though it is actually going in the opposite direction to the other 2 drives. An added advantage of using local chainages is if change occurs, such as structures being moved during design or methodology changes. To demonstrate this, we will open up the layout full project. For our example, suppose about now in our project we are able to arrange better access and logistic arrangements so that instead of removing the TBM from shaft C and then driving from D back to C, we can continue the tunnel drive from shaft C all the way to D. Without local chainages, we would have to redo all of the chainage entries in our tunnel D to C section of the plan. But all we actually have to do is move the local chainage datum in the WBS form. We will open the WBS form, and in the entry for drive D to C, we will change the description to drive C to D and enter 2316 in the global chainage field. We will set the direction of work to left to right. Going back to the chart, we can see that the direction of tunnelling has changed from D to C to C to D. We still have to change some of the temporary works and some of the sequencing, but this task has been made easier by the use of local chainages. Using local chainages in your TimeChainage project can be a time saver, as it can save you having to convert reported progress from whatever datum the production team are using to the global chainages you are using. Instead, you can set your local chainage datums to match what the production team report, and have whatever global datum you wish to have. It can save effort when change occurs, and irrespective of these benefits, it is just plain easier to have a piece of work starting from Chainage 0 rather than something like 564 metres, as would be the case with our tunnel drive A to B. You may end up using this feature in most of your projects, or you may very rarely use it, but when you do need it, it can be extremely useful. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful. TimeChainage, adding an extra dimension to your schedules.